Hi there makers, I'm Gavin.
And I'm Annie.
And we're here from Minerva and we're here today to talk all things Great British Sewing Bee. Now Vicky is doing her best Sarah Pascoe impression this year and she's off on maternity leave. So that means you have the two of us as your guides through each episode of Series 11 of the Great British Sewing Bee, which kicked off with Shape Week last night. You excited that Sewing Bee's back?
I am very excited that Sewing Bee's back. It's felt like a really long break since last year, so
hasn't it? Yeah.
Very glad that it's back.
Well, we'll be back every week talking through each of the challenges. We'll be picking out some of our highlights, the makes that we're really inspired by. We'll be picking out maybe some patterns and fabric inspiration for you if you want to try some of the makes yourself. If you haven't watched the episode yet, you may want to save this video till afterwards because we will have a few spoilers in here for you. So if you haven't watched yet, go catch up on the iPlayer and join us a bit later. And once you've all caught up, we'll carry on. But before we start, what are you wearing today?
I'm wearing the Tilly and the Buttons Lotta dress in our exclusive linen viscose, which is really lovely, soft and swishy for the summer, and it's in our graphic leopard print.
And very nice it is too.
And we can't not talk about this shirt. What are you wearing?
You're not going to miss it, are you? So this is the Emporia Patterns Tony shirt, and this is in our stone-washed textured cotton, and this particular print is called Retro Spectrum. I love its kind of slightly 90s vibe to it, and it's Shape Week, so seems like the perfect option. So I've got, here is Esme dressed as a triangle, and here is Patrick dressed as a square.
Okay, so the first challenge that the sewers were asked to do this week was the pattern challenge, and that's where the sewers all get given the same pattern, they've not seen it before, and they're being tested on their technical skills and their ability to follow a pattern. So this week the bees were given 3.5 hours to make a tie front blouse, and Patrick and Esme were particularly looking for lovely neat even gathers on the peplum and the sleeves, and they were specifically looking for a fabric that was structured enough to hold that shape.
So 3.5 hours for a tie front blouse seems like a challenge to get stuck into.
It's definitely a challenge.
Yes, and I think last night it was clear that some people need to speed up.
Yes, yeah. Which I think is natural, really. I mean, very rarely when you're at home are you giving yourself 3.5 hours to sew a full pattern from start to finish.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've all done it once. We've all been, I can get this done before my friend picks me up for a party, but...
Not something you want to be doing every day.
No.
But at least I thought tie front blouse was very on trend.
Yes.
Very, very nice thing to kind of ease people in with.
Yeah.
Probably nothing too individually technical in it.
No, just a lot of work on making sure those gathers are really even.
Yes, and they were particular.
Oh, they were.
So I think if you're interested in making your own tie front blouse like the one that they had in the pattern challenge, we've picked out a few options for you that we think would work really well. So first of all, and I think the one that is probably the best of the lot of them, is the McCall's 8557, and this is a tie front blouse. It's got that gathered waist option there, it's got that gap at the front with those ties crossing, so it's really ticking off a lot of the features of the one featured on the show. This particular one has a few different sleeve options for you. So you've got kind of more of a kind of gathered puff sleeve, a short sleeve, long cuffed sleeve, or sleeveless options. So they're not quite the same sleeve-wise as the one on the show, but we think this would be a super option if you want to get that look.
Definitely. And then the other pattern we've got is the Tilly and the Buttons Nell blouse, and there is a dress version as well. So you've got loads of different views for this one. But the closest one you've got is, there is a little peplum option. You can add these really big puff sleeves as well. So we think that's a great option as well.
And then thirdly, another option for you is the Style Arc Porter Pack. We'll just pop a little picture of that in for you here. Now this one has dress and blouse options, you've got tie front options, there's lots of different sleeve options, so you do have a longer sleeve with an elasticated cuff, which is a little bit closer to what you've seen on the show. What it doesn't have is that kind of gathered waist quite the same.
Yeah.
So you could always mix and match between a couple of these patterns to get something that was spot on.
Yeah, definitely. I think with a peplum as well, it is pretty much just a gathered rectangle, so it shouldn't be too hard to add on to an existing pattern. And then we do also, of course, have our tie front Victoria blouse hack.
Yes, so if you've already got a copy of our Minerva exclusive patterns Victoria blouse, then we've got a super hack video on our YouTube and on our Minerva TV playlist from Izzy showing you how to make this cute little tie front option. So let's talk about the contestants last night. Fantastic to see 12 new contestants in the sewing room, and this challenge threw them in straight at the deep end. Who stood out for you? Who did well? Who stumbled at the first hurdle?
I mean, obviously, poor Safi did stumble at the first hurdle with her timing. I think maybe the fabric she chose was a little bit slippy. She took a longer time cutting it out. Everyone else is already sewing. She's still trying to make sure that all those pattern pieces are nice and straight on the fabric. But I think had she had a bit longer to finish, it would have been a really, really lovely blouse.
I mean, absolutely. I think that fabric definitely spoke to me. You know me,
yes.
I love a tiger. But yeah, I think this is one where the amount of time she was talking about how slippy it was, how she needed to move to the floor. This was definitely a challenge where you wanted a fabric that behaved itself.
Definitely.
Something with a little bit of structure to it that would just make it easy to get those even gathers. Certainly quick and easy for cutting out. So I did feel for her, because I think I would be in that exact same boat.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
like,
I'd have spotted that fabric on the shelf and been like, that's the one.
there were so many lovely fabric choices, I thought, this time. I thought lots of them went for more of a cotton poplin kind of vibe. I think there were some nice prints in there. There were some lovely ginghams, which I think suits the tie front blouse style quite well. Jess had a really lovely gingham one, and then I felt awful for her that at the last minute she then burnt a hole in it.
Yeah, it was such a shame. But yeah, it was a really lovely fabric. And then Gaynor also had that really lovely, like, crinkle textured gingham, possibly a seersucker or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely had some kind of crinkle texture to it that I thought was really lovely.
Something like our Minerva Core Range crinkle seersucker gingham would be kind of perfect for that. Probably not structured as some of the other fabrics, but would give you a really nice kind of overall look to it.
Yeah, and it would give that little bit of bounce that seersucker just naturally has.
Let's talk about maybe some of the top spots then.
Yeah.
So, top number one pick went to Kit. Honestly, I think going into the sewing bee, if you want anything, it's to do well on the first challenge and just kind of have that relief. So they must be so pleased that they got that kind of perfect record.
It
from
must
Patrick.
have given them such a buzz, and then to go into the rest of the challenges knowing that Patrick's already said that basically he can't fault your make.
I mean,
wow.
What's to say to that? And I will say, like, bonus points to Kaz as well. She got a spot on for her check floral print.
I love that fabric. It had like lovely little florals, and then I think it had some like cherries or something on it as well. It was very summery. Perfect for a little summery tie front blouse.
The summer vibes were absolutely there. What I also really liked is the way some of them did a contrast tie blouse. I think if you really want your tie detail to kind of pop out, I think that's a really nice way of doing it. So I know Kit did that with a contrast blue ribbon. I really liked Orla's, and I'll come to Orla's in a bit more. But yeah, if you were going to make this blouse for this challenge, what would you pick for it?
So I have had my eye on this fabric ever since we released it. It's our Celestial Cats cotton poplin. So it's got a really lovely crisp texture. It's got tigers and leopards on it, so I'm all over it. And yeah, I think it's not too, the print isn't too detailed, so you can still see the gathering details. and I think it would really hold the shape of the blouse really well.
And what would be lovely with that, you could do a nice little gold ribbon with it.
Yes,
gold ribbon.
definitely.
Any excuse for a gold ribbon. Well, I was definitely inspired by Orla. I really like the kind of textured nature of the fabric she used.
This is a lovely
So
texture.
this is very similar fabric. This is our heavy stone-washed linen. So it's got that kind of certain heaviness, that crispness to it that you get from linen. It's not as crisp as a cotton poplin, but it works really well, and I think the texture on it just brings that kind of extra dimension, and I think I would have to go with Orla and go for a contrast bow on this as well. So the second challenge every episode of Sewing Bee is the transformation challenge, which I think is always one of those that can be a bit hit or miss,
Yeah, it's
depending
a bit of a
on what it
Marmite
is.
challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, so some of them in the past I think have been amazing. I love the one where they were working with art canvases.
Yes.
What they made in that was just mind-blowing. And then there's other ones where I think they push them quite hard on what they have to recycle, and creates quite a difficult challenge at times.
Yes, definitely.
Now, I thought last night's challenge was quite an interesting one. So they gave each of the contestants one circle skirt and tasked them with transforming that into a completely different outfit. I think that was in some ways it's a good start because you've got a lot of fabric to work with on a circle skirt. You've probably got a little bit of detail in terms of kind of the waistband and the hem, but otherwise you've probably got a lot of freedom there to
there's
to
not
work
too
with.
much kind of like gathers or pleats or anything already sewn into it. You've got, normally you would have some kind of zip, so you could repurpose that into something. You've got a really long hem, so you could, if you were clever with your cutting out, save yourself having to re-hem your garment. So yeah, definitely a lot to play with.
So there was a real mix, I thought, in terms of what they made with it, and I thought they were all actually quite interesting.
Yeah, I really loved all of them really. It was really creative. I particularly like Kit's. He did that kind of ruffle neck, really dramatic.
Yeah, well, I think Kit did one of the things that I'd kind of considered for this. I would not have made that, but I think what they did was really kind of flipped it.
Yeah.
So the waist of the skirt then went kind of upwards, and then they used interfacing to make this bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the end result was like some sort of fashion pineapple.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, would I walk down the street wearing that? Probably not.
Probably
but
not.
like down a fashion catwalk or something, definitely had its place.
Yeah, I think for structure, Kit top points there. The winner of the episode in terms of the transformation challenge was Kaz's batwing top.
Yes.
What did you think of that one?
I really like that. I really like that she chose like a classic polka dot. You can never go wrong with a polka dot. And then she got that really bold pink zip to make like a really standout feature on the front. The big batwing sleeves. I think she used a lot of the fabric, which was something that Patrick and Esme were looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. She definitely ticked that, using as much of the fabric, but in quite an unexpected way.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably wasn't my favourite, but I do see that what she did with it was really interesting. A couple of people had made dresses from it. I thought Gayna's, the black dress she made with the kind of halter neck and the little red detail around it, I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
And then I thought Glendora was seriously brave in that she literally took the circle skirt as a piece of fabric and cut out and drafted and sewed a full set of shorts from it. I mean, the fit wasn't perfect, but I think to do that level of deconstruction and drafting,
she's really kind of almost thought outside the box and not thought of it as a circle skirt, just thought this is a piece of fabric. what can I get from it, which was really good. I particularly liked Orla's kind of tiered, kind of gathered sleeve thing that she had going on.
That was really lovely.
She didn't finish it, which was a shame, but I mean, you've only got 90 minutes, so...
Yeah, I think she would have done much better in the rankings had she been able to finish it, but yeah, that was really interesting. I love the kind of ruffle element she had on there. They really liked Novello's green and white kind of ruffly boob tube, which I guess had that kind of flouncy
she's definitely, again, like, it probably, you didn't look like she'd used that much fabric, but I think with all those kind of ruffles, she's really used quite a lot there. Yeah.
So, if you were thrown in at the deep end with this challenge, what would you be coming up with?
I mean, I am not very creative in terms of being thrown in at the deep end and given a circle skirt, but I think maybe like a play suit, and if I didn't have quite enough fabric, maybe just like a little backless or like tie back, quite wide leg shorts.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. What would you go for?
Well, I think what I would have liked to have done, if I was going to try and use as much of the fabric as possible, is maybe kind of cut the circle skirt in half and then make a little cape from half of it with a nice little collar, with a little ruffle detail around the collar. And then if I had enough fabric and enough time, which I almost certainly would not, I think maybe a little vest top.
Oh,
even
fabulous.
if it was just kind of like one of those kind of front vest tops that's just got like a little bit at the back.
And a cape
so you've got kind of like
bit.
the cape and the kind of waist front.
Very creative.
I think in one of the maybe tartan fabrics that they had, I know Dan had a lovely black watch tartan that was matching Esme's dress.
Extra points for matching Esme.
Exactly, you've got to get your points where you can.
Yeah. Okay, so the final challenge of the episode was the made to measure challenge, which is where the sewers are asked to fit a garment to a model. So they're allowed to practice at home their actual pattern, but they've never fitted to their model before. And this week Patrick and Esme wanted a dress with pleating details, and they were quite specific on they wanted the pleats to add shape to the garment. And they had 5.5 hours to do this one. So yeah, what did you think of the made to measure?
I always think the made to measures are a really kind of interesting place for the makers to really explore and show off kind of their own skills, their own point of view, and I think it really brings people to the fore. This is where you can really see what their style's all about.
Yeah, they can really get creative. So.
Yeah, so they've had that chance to have a play around with it. There's less kind of restriction. Obviously, you've got to create a pleated dress. It's got to use those pleats.
Yeah,
but honestly, I thought for a first episode, I was so impressed. So impressed with what they came up with. There was such a range of ways that people had taken the challenge. I think we saw some garments in this episode that you could have seen from like a final week.
Definitely.
Many years ago.
Yeah.
People really pushed themselves, I thought. I mean, I thought there were obviously two in particular which really caught my eye. Yeah. But I would say across the board, it was so nice to see people really kind of developing. Now, I'm gonna go straight in and talk about Safi, because I think Safi had a really tough kind of first challenge, but I absolutely loved what she did for the made to measure challenge. One of the nice things I think about the episode is you did get that little bit of introduction with each of them, so we got to learn a little bit about them. And Safi is someone who, she does screen printing, she does all these different...
She's, clearly just generally a very creative person.
So it was lovely that she was able to bring her screen printing into this. And so she brought in a fabric that she'd screen printed specially, so that when she did those structural pleats, you had this gorgeous flash of the lime green coming in through under the yellow.
Such a lovely kind of effect. Especially when the model kind of walked down the catwalk and the dress was kind of swishing and you just got those little glimpses of colour. It was really special.
And also, shout out to the amazing diversity of models they've got this season.
Definitely.
There was so much going on there. There was so much to take in, and it's like, oh wow, oh
Yeah, I think it really kind of shows how diverse fashion can be and how kind of open it can be and how you can play with it.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So yeah, which one stood out to you? What did you like to see?
I mean, firstly, Kit's David Bowie lightning bolt. It's such an iconic image, and the fact that they managed to recreate it in dress form was just.
I thought that
incredible.
was such a brave thing to do, especially
for
when
the first week,
when Kit has never drafted a woman's dress before, to go for something so dramatic. Was it my favourite? Probably not. I don't know if it was quite as sharp as it needed to be.
Yeah, I think like Patrick, I think commented that if it had been like a really sharp pleat from point to point, it would have really kind of...
I think maybe it needed more of the interfacing. Maybe Kit had used up all the interfacing in the transformation challenge.
Yeah.
Another one that I thought was very interesting was Novello's.
Yeah.
Now, she'd used, I think, some natural silk that she'd had saved since her daughter's wedding. But she created this really kind of structural, rippled skirt.
It was so interesting. It was so different from kind of what I think comes to mind when you think of a pleated dress.
Yeah, it was quite high fashion. There's part of me that's going, are those pleats? Is that just a little
is
bit
it pleats
folded?
Or is it tubes?
But I'm like, I will give her complete carte blanche on that one, because I thought what she created looked really interesting.
It was really
now, there were a couple of simpler dresses in there, and I think you always get that, particularly kind of early on in the series, where some people will go all out, really try and show off their skills, and some people will play a bit safer. Gaynors, I thought she played it very safe.
Yeah.
But it was really wearable.
It was definitely wearable. I think it definitely showed off how much of a neat and precise sewer she is, and she had that lovely little embroidery stitches along the kind of like almost like pleated, I don't know what you call it, like waistline type thing. And I think although it wasn't kind of as big and bold as some of the other makes, it was a really wearable dress. It definitely had its place, I think.
And then I think one step up from there was maybe Kaz's, where she'd used a denim and had that fantastic top stitching detail. I feel like I understand the pleats weren't bone sharp. It wasn't it didn't hit the brief as much as I think the judges were looking for, but I thought as a wearable dress with some fantastic detail in there, it was just absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it was lovely.
I really liked Yasmin's like tartan, Vivienne Westwood inspired. She had like almost like little miniature kilts at the side, which I thought was really fun.
I can see where her mind was going with that one, because I think that when you talk pleats, kilts are absolutely a place to go. And then taking that tartan trip to Vivienne Westwood territory, I absolutely love that. I do agree that maybe they weren't giving the structure
maybe
that they were looking
had like
for.
A bit more of, maybe just more fabric around the sides, so it was a bit more kind of poofy or something, would have given it a bit more what they were looking for. But it was a lovely dress.
But then there's two that we absolutely have to talk about.
Yes.
I honestly think these two, either of them could have easily won.
Definitely.
And that is Peter's and Orla's. So I think Peter's is your favourite.
Peter's is my favourite.
I'll let you talk about Peter's.
I think the actual dress itself was quite a classic, kind of almost like little black dress vibe, but then he had these like origami style shoulder sleeves, and they were the pressing that he done. They were so precise. It almost didn't look like fabric. It almost looked like he'd made them out of paper.
I don't know if you've seen these, but there's like videos that you can watch on the internet and on social media of these pleating boards, which you kind of lay the fabric over them and you pleat it all up and then press the bejesus out of it, and it creates these amazing pleated fabrics. And I have never seen someone attempt to do that. Certainly on the sewing bee in that time, but actually on like a standard kind of made at home garment. And I think the engineering that went into creating his own kind of pleating board, I'm just so impressed.
It was,
It looked,
was amazing.
it looked stunning. I thought the colour scheme was really striking, that kind of bright yellow and charcoal. I don't, if you're a comic book fan, it was giving me Hawk Girl, but absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I
it
think
was so impressive.
Yeah, just taking kind of like a very classic style and then just elevating it with those amazing sleeves was just so creative.
So creative, and makes me appreciate that I could not.
Oh, absolutely
I could not go toe to toe with these people. They are so good. And it really shows that we're kind of series 11 now. People are coming in and going, right, I'm going to show you what I can do right from the start.
Yeah, it was incredible that they're producing stuff like this on week 1.
Week 1.
Yeah.
Week 1. Now, equally impressive for me was Orla's.
Yeah.
And what I absolutely loved about Orla's was that she'd created this, all these pattern pieces.
Yeah.
Which then allowed her to manually manipulate her dress front on the mannequin to create this kind of 3D illusion, origami, pleated detail. She was doing this by hand. I mean, Peter's was precise and so stunning, but he'd had the structural support of his kind of origami basis. She just did that by
on
hand.
The mannequin was
to have that kind of 3D mind to be able to understand how to create the right fabric you need to give you that depth. And I think if she'd just done that that dress front, it would have been stunning. Yeah. But then to do these amazing pleated origami style sleeves as well, honestly. And she's 19.
I know.
She's 19. I am absolutely stunned by what she was able to do.
It's incredible. And I think the black and white, like classic monochrome, the fact that she's been able to sort of choose which pattern pieces and which pieces of fabric she's going to cut out of the white fabric and the black fabric to really give that optical illusion effect was just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So going from that to, well, what would you make? I'm like, well, I wouldn't make something as good as that. It's what I wouldn't make. So, if you were thrown into this challenge, where would you have gone with this one?
So I've picked out a Simplicity pattern. It's kind of like a vintage style one. It's Simplicity 9294, and it's using the pleats to create this kind of big poofy skirt. And I think just to elevate it a little bit more, especially seeing the composition I would have been up against, I would have maybe changed those sleeves, added some pleats into the sleeves to make them a bit poofy as well. And I'd have chosen this is our Plentiful Paints cotton poplin, and I think cotton poplin, you need something structured to hold the pleat.
So give us a whirl.
Get it out a bit. It's really crisp. It's it's a lovely kind of colourful.
Yeah, that's going to hold a pleat.
It's definitely
really
going to hold a
nicely.
pleat if I kind of just fold it up a bit. It's really going to hold.
You can kind of
pleats.
hear from the sound of some fabrics that they're going to be crisp and nice to work with.
Crisp, something nice to work with that's not going to slip around, because pleating is, you've got to be precise with your pleating as well, haven't you?
Well, I like with that as well that you've taken a retro design but gone quite modern with the print.
Yeah, definitely. And I think kind of the lines on it as well kind of add into the lines of the pleating. So what would you have gone for?
Well, I've gone a little vintage with my choice as well. Ooh. Now, when I heard pleats and pleated dress, my thoughts were, everyone's going to do something with a pleated skirt.
Yeah.
And we did see a lot of that kind of baby doll silhouette.
Definitely what comes to mind when you think pleated dress.
So I thought, okay, well, let's do something completely different. So what I've picked out is the Now and Then Patterns Ritz pleat dress. Obviously, it's got pleat in the title. That's a good starting point. But what I think is interesting about this particular style is that the pleats are used around the neckline and really bringing up that detail up to the shoulders. So I think sometimes that's where you want a bit of focus, is up by the face. So it creates all this lovely detail around the bust line, and then it falls into a more kind of drapey dress from there. So for this one, it's quite a vintage style, but I've paired it up with maybe a slightly more modern print.
Lovely,
So
yeah.
this is our silhouette spring print, and this is our recycled soft crepe. Now, you do want a more drapey fabric for the Now and Then Ritz dress, which is probably a bit different to what is being asked for most of this, but it still holds a nice pleat, and you want that pleat around the neckline and then to kind of fall from there. So I think that would be a nice option.
Yeah, definitely.
And like you, I think I would feel the need to bring a bit more pleated detail in to try and stand up to the competition. So I think maybe bringing a little bit of additional pleating into the shoulders would be how I'd go with that one.
Lovely.
So Peter got the garment of the week for this one. Do you think that was justified?
I think it was very well deserved. I think a close second was Orla.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Peter's was just so precise and just very well deserved.
I completely agree. I feel like both Peter and Orla did things I've never seen before on Sewing Bee, and that's what you want in a garment of the week.
Definitely.
And like we said, to do that in episode 1 is really setting the bar quite high.
It's just
for this
making me
season.
think, like, what are we going to see from them coming, the later weeks?
And then, secondly, their added little twist this week was that nobody went home.
Yes.
Which, year after year, I think we say it's always a shame when you lose something in the first episode because they don't get this chance to show themselves. And obviously, I think this time it was partly because Glendora wasn't able to complete the last challenge. She was off ill. So, but I'm glad that it gives people that chance, because I could not tell you from that bunch of people whose tops and bottoms so far. There's
they
a
all
real
had
mix of
things
skills.
that they struggled with, but then they all had things that they did really well. And I think also sending someone home in the first week, you're not giving them the chance to kind of get used to sewing in the studio with Patrick and Esme walking. I mean, that would be enough to have. I would have a meltdown. And then you've got these
studio camera in your face.
just in
Sarah
your face.
just poking her way into everything you do.
So I think by the second week, at least they've had a chance to kind of get used to that atmosphere and really, show off what they can do.
Well, I really hope Glendora is able to come back next week, and then really excited to see what they all do.
Yeah.
So, that's a wrap for episode 1 of Sewing Bee for 2025. What did you think? What were your highlights of the episode? What was your garment of the week? Who do you think's the rising stars of this season? We really want to hear about your thoughts, so leave us a comment below and we'll get the chat going. Now, it's very early to pick a winner. But hey, let's put us on the spot. Annie, who is your pick for the top this season?
I mean, Orla, I think, being as young as she is and so creative, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what she does, how she kind of takes on the briefs every week. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on Orla.
I think that's a good call. She definitely stood out for me this episode. There's a few people who really caught my eye in terms of style. Yeah. So whether they do well or not, these are people that I'm definitely keeping an eye on because I really like what they're producing. And that was Kit. Really loved their vibe. And Safi, I know she struggled in the first challenge, but I absolutely love what she created in the Made to Measure and would love to see what she brings through. I mean, if Peter can bring that level of engineering through to future episodes, then who knows? Yeah. But really, any of them could. Yeah,
I think
do
it's
well
at the moment. It seems it's very much anyone's competition.
It's wide
really.
open. So next week it is Activewear Week. Yeah. So we're getting a little bit sporty with Patrick and Esme. So the challenges that they're taking on next week are a panelled cap in the pattern challenge, a little bit different. They are upcycling cycling gear for the second challenge, which that's going to be a whole load of four-way stretch and
definitely very interesting fabric to work with.
Interesting fabric. So really, really looking forward to seeing what they create with that. And then the made to measure challenge is athleisure, making something that will take you from the gym to the coffee shop.
Yeah, so interesting to see kind of how they bring a little bit of kind of fashion into something that I think if you were just making gym gear, it can be quite plain.
Yeah.
So making something that's a little bit elevated that you can
I
go into your local coffee shop.
It'll be a really interesting challenge because I think, like you say, if you go sportswear, I think you're going to have missed the brief.
Yeah.
I think it's very much kind of stuff that you can wear that you could do a workout in, but you've probably never done a workout in your life, and you're actually just enjoying a latte.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you want to wear your comfies, but you want to look a bit more put together, isn't it?
Yes. So, really excited to see what they do for that one. Now, join us next Wednesday, and we'll have another Sewing Bee video for you. If you enjoyed today, then do give us a like, give us a subscribe so you don't miss any of our latest videos, and we'll catch you next week.